Oh man, sit your podcast down. It's it's just me and you today, man. What's going on, Rick?
What up?
Oh
Good.
man, McFly in the building. Uh, Usually we talk some shit and we getting this on stuff, get off tangent. Nah, not today. Getting right into this shit. Listen here. First and foremost,
Might be time.
it's time. Yo, yes, it is time. 100% time. Yo, so here's okay. So real quick, off rip. I think I'm happy about one thing. Well, a couple of things, but I'm really happy about one thing in particular. The NBA trade deadline is undefeated. I tell you right now, every year you think it can't be that much drama. They find some drama, and it is beautiful. Nothing else, no other trade period in any sport is like this. It is like boom, boom, boom. Let's get it going. Love it. So number one, hats off to the NBA for creating this drama. Hats off to the Wojs of the world, the Shams of the world, man. Because this shit makes this shit so much fun. So there's that. I know I still don't have any tangents, but I'm sorry, America, tangent. But this trade, the proposed trade for Harden and Simmons. Number one, but let's go over what happened already, right? We see that Dame is leaving. Dame's leaving the Blazers. Yeah. He must be, because you gave away his running mate McCollum for peanuts. But Josh Hart's a quality peanuts. McCollum isn't a superstar, but he's 10 times better than Josh Hart. Let's just say what it is, right? You trade him away. so that's confusing. Then you got, not to be one up in the stupid decision department, the Kings were like, best draft pick we've made in the last 20 years? Yeah, fuck it. We're going to trade him. How do you do that? You trade him for some boat. I was watching one NBA shows on ESPN, and JJ was like, yo, you trade away two shooters for two non-shooters.
Right, yeah. Like, you're supposed to keep one of them. You don't give away both of them.
And then you paired them with Fox, who also can't shoot. He said, you building a team around the main pieces that can't shoot around more non-shooting. He said, what are you doing? I was like, yo, honestly, there may not have been a more accurate take made on ESPN. Pretty accurate. It's a game about shooting, and you can't shoot. And he would know shooting because, JJ Redick, right? He would know.
Like, I felt it helped both teams, but at the same time, people were acting like Halliburton was like Steph Curry. It's like they didn't give up Steph Curry.
They did not give up Steph, but I think it's interesting to see a guy get traded who's a proven commodity in the second year of his rookie deal. What the fuck?
Yeah.
If he does become what he's projected to be, what are you doing?
That's my thing is, I don't think Halliburton's going to become what people think he's going to become.
Okay, well, that's different.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gave up Buddy Hield too. Like, like
it's like
Sabonis is good, but he ain't worth it. I wouldn't have gave up both of them. I'd have gave him something else.
Sabonis is like a throwback to his pops. He's a guy that was probably better in an older era. He don't really shoot, and the problem is he doesn't even have like the size of a Drummond where he can maybe be imposing at times. Like, he just doesn't have that. So to me, again, good player. You know what I mean? Solid guy, 2-time All-Star. Like, he's solid, but the Pacers. I mean, talk about making a great move. You add shooting. You kind of clear up the spacing issue for your bigs, as you got Turner coming back from injury. Add a nice young point guard piece. I mean, that's a great deal. I mean, again, you gave up a solid piece, but you got what people think is a bit more value in what you got back. So that was also interesting. And then as we are now in the waning hours, we now have, well, it's not confirmed, but there appears to be, as they say, kind of back channel discussions for Mr. James Harden and Ben Simmons. And if you've been watching, I have been calling for the longest trade Kyrie for Ben Simmons. But I mean, Harden can't walk this summer for nothing. Maybe he's the priority to move, but I mean, how does this work in your mind? You're the coach, man. Let's take us to coach's corner, man. What are we looking at here?
I just want to say, I want to go on record that I did say on this podcast, I said on Twitter, James Harden doesn't fit. They should have never traded for James Harden. Now I'm seeing people say
hot take.
Right. It was hot. It was hot. And now I'm seeing people saying like they should never give because they gave up Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. They see how good those guys were, and now it's like, oh, they weren't worth Harden. No kidding. That's what I said from the beginning. But and then on top of that, everybody was like, well, trade Kyrie. And I get it, the vaccination thing, part-time. I understand that logic. But I was always one to say they did not need James Harden. Now, James Harden, and this might be a hot take.
Let me get my tea ready.
Right, because he's doing the same thing that he did in Houston to the Nets to get himself out. Harden found out this wasn't going to be an easy championship. So now he quit, just like he did in Houston. Same things in Houston. Let's think about it. All of a sudden, these reports of internal beefing and all this other stuff comes out. I think Harden was leaking that information. That was back Houston. Everybody told him the rift between him and Chris Paul and this going on. And he would go and say, oh, there's no rift. I want to be a Rocket. I want to be this. I want to be that. Same thing he's doing with the Nets. I want to be with the Nets long term. That's what Steve Nash told us. I talked to James. He said he wants to be a Net long term. All right. So all this leaked information now coming out from the Nets. Just like Houston, now all of a sudden he gets hurt.
I ain't never seen a man get hurt at a more convenient time for him.
Right. Convenient every time. Like it's real convenient every time he get hurt. I don't feel like playing. And now you got these trades coming up where, they're talking about packages for Ben Simmons, for James Harden. Now, if I'm Philly, I don't do it because it makes your team worse. If I'm Brooklyn, I do it because it makes them better.
So you think you value Ben over Harden, even though he's like a non-shooter essentially.
In this system, I do. Because the thing is with James Harden, and people, y'all can go look at, actually read, there's an article in The Athletic that came out last week talking about the issues with Harden and the Nets. And one of the reasons why I said Harden wasn't going to fit with the Nets is because he needs the ball to really do what he has to do. People forget, like, he was playing in Houston with D'Antoni. So D'Antoni, everybody knows,
like a god.
Right. Everybody knows, everybody's stats are inflated with D'Antoni. Like Jeremy Lin looked like a superstar with D'Antoni.
Sure did.
So it's like you can imagine what James Harden was going to be when he got with D'Antoni. So everybody was expecting D'Antoni Harden with the Nets. And I was like, no, it's not going to be that. It's going to be Nets. It's going to be Harden before D'Antoni or OKC Harden, which is what people got.
Which is solid, but maybe not,
Right. He's a great player, but he ain't, he's him and Westbrook fall in the same category. Like they good, bad players. Because it's really hard to win a championship with them just because of their style of play. So going to Philly, he's going to think like, okay, I'm the man now. Everybody know Embiid is the guy. Harden doesn't move without the basketball. He doesn't really do anything. He doesn't really play defense. And I think he's going to be just disinterested when Embiid has the ball, just like he was disinterested when Kyrie or KD have it, and when Chris Paul had it before him, and when Westbrook had it. So it's like, if I don't have the ball, I have no purpose. So he feels like he has no purpose in the offense, so he's just going to stand around and not help out. So if I'm Philly and I got Embiid doing what he's doing. I got Maxey. I got the young players balling. Like, we're not a bad team. We're a pretty good team. I don't come and mess that up with James Harden.
Interesting. So you think they shouldn't do it?
But Brooklyn, Ben Simmons, for one, Nash doesn't like playing big men for whatever reason.
Hates him.
Ben can play big man.
He can.
He can handle the ball. You don't have to worry about him shooting, because if you're not playing big, he's the biggest guy. Everybody else can just space the floor and just let him drive, or just, give it to KD and Kyrie. He'll just get out the way. But nobody will be clogging up his lanes like in Philly, because Embiid is down there, and Embiid's the best player. You're not moving him out of there, so it works out better for the Nets.
I do think I thought this about, but that's some of what I thought about moving him for Kyrie. He doesn't need to have the ball. You can have two main guys maintaining the ball, running the offense. That's fine. He's a great defender. He's a willing passer, right? I think that fits, right? He gives you versatility across the board, right? That fits. If he can just, muster 16 points a game, 18 points a game, that's fine. He's going to be a 30-point guy in Brooklyn if you move him. So that, in theory, makes sense. I still think it says something about James Harden. It says something about James Harden that the guy who refused to play is not being traded before you. I have to think there's something maybe not being said. Maybe you're right. Maybe they know he's leaking information. They know he wants out. They know he's not going to want to sign. Although I think they said if he doesn't sign with them, it's like a $70 million pay cut. I can't see him not. I see him forcing at least a sign and trade. 70 million to just, I don't want that. Yeah, you do. You 100% want the 70 million. Let's not play that game, right? So I do think there's something to be said about, hey, maybe they know more and they're just like, nah, we'd still rather not deal with you and deal with the guy who does not play. Kyrie cannot play half the games. They're still like, half of Kyrie is still better than you. I think he got to figure something out, man. That says a lot.
And the thing is, like, it says a lot. Like, when you think about it, and when Kyrie and KD were in the playoffs, like before Kyrie get hurt, like they were blowing Milwaukee out by like 50.
You're not lying.
So it's just like, and like I said,
they were. Let's call it what it is. They were a shot away. They were a half shoe size away from being in the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Harden is good, but he is not. He's better than a half shoe, I think, right? But like, that's how close it was.
You would think, but even like in a hurt hamstring, it's like, dude, you couldn't like make 1 3.
He did sell, man. It was a bad playoffs for him. It was selling.
And like I said, like Kyrie and KD, like it made him look back. Even though Harden was a little hurt, Kyrie and KD were so dominant over that team that beat them.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, yo, Harden, like it was just proving what I was saying. I said KD and Kyrie are a better duo than Harden and KD. I don't know why people thought Harden and KD were a better match.
You bring in a guy that does too much of the same thing that already exists.
Yeah.
He's not. And again, I think there's something to be said. Listen, I won't make this about a LeBron thing, right? But it's a knock on LeBron. Can you play without the ball on the offensive side of the ball, right? Not every player can do it. Some of the greatest players of all time kind of need the ball to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them do. It's just that's why the ones that don't are really special, because that's when you can fit any team. Well, I can take some post ups for you. I can hit some spot ups for you, right? If I can do those things, you're more valuable. When you can't, like, it seems that hard. I think Harden can. I just think there's a lack of desire He just like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah, he's always been like that. Like he doesn't really get in shape. You know, if you look at the article in the Athletic, they were talking about why it's hard to play with him because they have to change their whole offense because he doesn't move without the ball. He needs the ball in his hand. Like I think they want an offense with more movement, more passing and everything like that. But you can't really do that with Harden. So, and on top of that, we all know he doesn't show up in the playoffs.
It has not to date.
No.
I tell you right now, he on the wrong side of 30 is not to date, man.
No.
So do you think, first off, number one, do you think any other deals are going to come? Because I was hoping for, I don't get off topic too much. I was hoping for a Fox Randall trade.
Anything for get Randall out of there is fine with me.
Anything? You'll take anything to get Randall out of there. Anything.
Just about.
There's gotta be something you would take. Come on, bro.
I mean, like if the Kings were smart, they would have kept Halliburton and got rid of Fox for Randall.
I mean, that makes sense to me. Maybe it's a fire some. Maybe they're gonna do both. They're gonna have two power forwards.
Does have no point guard.
Randall at the point, man. Randall at the point.
Randall at the point. Let's have a bonus Randall backcourt.
So, yeah, just somebody to stop the Kings, man. Somebody to stop them from themselves, man. Damn it.
They need a trade committee.
They need right. They need a trade. Yo, somebody to review their shit, man. Goodness gracious. Outside of the Knicks hopes, obviously we hope the Knicks move Randall. I mean, honestly. And Knicks fans, just real quick tangent. I don't want to hear your shit. I wasn't making Randall in the first place. He balled out on the only year that he had to, which was his contract year, and we paid him off of it. Let's stop the nonsense. He got paid on a contract year. He's never shown to be that player any other time in his career. I mean, these are facts that you can. Well, we gotta. No, man, he busted his ass. And no. He busted his ass when the check was about to stop. If you know his deal, it was a 2-year deal with an option.
Yep.
That's what it was. So last year was essentially the end of it. They could just said, nah, F it. The extension just includes the option year and more money after that. So if you understand how this works, it wasn't like he bought out. No. He bought out 1 year. One. And even then it was like, you knew it wasn't probably sustainable, but he tried.
It showed in the playoffs.
It definitely showed in the playoffs. My God, he fucking disappeared in the playoffs. Shit. I mean, he was out of there in the playoffs.
I hate to say it, like we're right on this podcast a lot. So I called this. I said I didn't want Julius Randle. Like I said, I didn't want Julius Randle. I didn't want Tibbs. Tibbs
got to go too. Tibbs is good to instill a culture of discipline and defense and hustle, but he's like a primer coach. You bring him in, kind of clear out some of the nonsense, but his defense is stuck in the 90s. Our offense is stuck in the 90s. You can't do it. He's unwilling to play young guys. Right. You have a young team. They need to play a lot of minutes. Obi should be getting 30 minutes a game, bro. He's an athletic freak and he can run all day. Like, that's what he should be doing. So, again, Knicks tangent. I want some trades done there. I want some movement done there. Right. But outside of that,
do something.
Anything. Please, Knicks. Please. Outside of that, do you think this deal for the Nets gets done? And are there any other deals you think are going to get done before the deadline?
It wouldn't surprise me if they do something with Dame.
Oh, just clear the books.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Because I really don't see. If I'm Dame, like I don't see what you're trying to do.
If I'm Dame, I've already told them, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it looks full rebuild. That's what it looks like. You're clearing cap. You got all young players. It looks like a flat out rebuild. So if I'm Dame, it's like, all right, I want to be loyal to the city, but I don't want to be part of a rebuild either. So
where do you think Dame goes?
Let's trade him for Randall.
Do you think they maybe they would? Shit, they're stupid.
Or maybe trade him for Ben.
That's what I'm saying. Does he become the contender against the? And I wonder, is Philly saying, "Yo, man, Hart is cool, but we can go get Dame." Yeah. And we kind of think I'd rather have Dame too if I'm them. Like I like Dame better, realistically.
Right.
It's interesting. So I agree with you. I think Dame. I think before the deadline, Dame has to go, and I think Ben has to go somewhere because Harden they can say, "Yo, you want this money? It's 70 mil, right?" And at the very least, maybe we do a signing trade. So I think there's an option for him later in the Nets' favor to get what they really want, right? But I think Ben has to move, and I think at this point Dame has to move, man. I think they just gotta go. Or you're gonna
Absolutely.
have those teams pissed off.